Okay.
Brilliant. Did you want to do our usual intro, Madhu? You're great at that.
Sorry?
Did you want to do our usual intro?
No. Oh, yeah. Okay, so here we are. Krishnacore podcast, chapter number 3 with Mike Dines. We have a very special guest today with Dayal Nitai Don Foose, with the vocalist of Spudmonsters, also Random Run, Lifeline, Wish One, One Life All In, and many others.
Yeah.
So, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you.
Nice to see you. I must say that, in my personal opinion, you are one of the most iconic persons in the Krishnacore scene. From the early 90s, you are connected to the Krishna consciousness and still being a devotee, what is really nice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Mike Dines, with Mike Dines, we have the first questions. First, if you could introduce yourself, like I know you are from Cleveland, and your first experience in a band, it was singing Metallica's "The Four Horsemen" in a driveway at a friend's party in the driveway.
Yeah.
So you could introduce yourself.
Yeah. I'm Dayal Nitai from Cleveland, Ohio. So I got into singing or music back in 1984. Back then, I took intoxication. I did a lot of stuff that I don't do anymore. But I remember being out drinking alcohol with my friends, and we came to a party, and there was a band playing in the driveway. It was just a house party, and the guitar player got up on the microphone and said, "Hey, our singer didn't come out tonight. We don't have any singing going on, so if anybody knows the words, we're going to play some cover songs tonight." And he said, "This is a Metallica song," and they started playing The Four Horsemen. I knew the song. I liked Metallica back whenever I was younger. So I ran up and I grabbed the microphone. I just started jumping around, going crazy. You know, I was really feeling the moment. So I was singing, and people from the party all started coming closer, and they started putting their hands in the air, and they were singing, and they started dancing, and then the big mosh pit started. And the feeling I had of being up there singing a song that I really loved and seeing the energy of the crowd coming towards me made me realize at that time, wow, this is really cool. I could do this. You know, this would be fun if I sang in a band. So anyway, I sang the song, and I put the microphone down. I started walking towards the garage where all the beer was, and I was going to go grab a beer. And some guy had a wooden leg, and he had these shorts on, tight shorts on. I saw him limping towards me, and he said, hey, hold up. He's like, what's your name? I was like, "Oh, hey, I'm Don Foose." He's like, "What band do you sing in?" I said, I've never even sang in a microphone before in my life before tonight. He goes, "Oh man, you should really be in a band." So I got really inspired by that. And I said, "Wow, thank you very much." And I realized right there that, man, this would be really cool to be in a band. But I didn't do anything at that point, because later, another funny story is I went to go see Twisted Sister and Iron Maiden, which, you know, some heavy metal bands back when I was a kid that were kind of cool. I was only 16, 17 years old at the time.
Yeah.
They were playing at a big arena, 20,000 people arena. And it was, my friend and I went to the show. And when we got into the show, we noticed there were a lot of people there, and I had to go to the bathroom. I had to piss really bad. So I said, "Oh man, this bathroom is too full," because there were people puking on the floor. It was really bad. And I'm like, let's go to a bathroom that's not as used. So I took my friend, and we walked really far down the other hall to where the bathroom that was less used. And I went into the bathroom stall, and when I opened the door, there was some backstage passes hanging in the bathroom stall, and it said Twisted Sister World Tour, Stay Hungry World Tour, something like that on there. And I grabbed the passes. I was like, whoa, cool, man. So I grabbed my friend and we snuck in and got backstage, you know, and then we were down there seeing Twisted Sister and hanging out with them and all this stuff. And they later were filing to go on stage, and we stayed with the band, you know. So here we are sneaking around, you know, where all these rock stars are, and they go up onto the stage, and you know, we stayed on the side of the stage behind the bass rig, and I don't know, we were just blown away, man. This is incredible. And we heard the crowd screaming and the lights and everything. I thought, man, I'd love to do this with my life. I just want to sing, you know? So, you know, I left, and that was such a great experience for me. So many years later, the Spudmonsters did a reunion album in 2012. And we were playing in front of, I don't know, 20,000 people of our own, you know, playing this big festival. And Twisted Sister was on the bill. The last song of the set was Isolation that we play. And I told the crowd, come up, our stage is your stage, come up. And 400 people come on stage with us, and they're jumping around and stage diving off the drum riser on top of each other. And it was just total chaos, totally crazy chaos. And towards the end of the song, I looked over on the side of the stage, and Dee Snider from Twisted Sister was watching us, and he was like, yeah, awesome. He was like really, you know, digging it, you know. So after we were done, I went up to him. I was like, hey, man, it was an honor having you on the side of our stage. And I told him the story about many years ago. I said, I was on the side of your stage, and you're the one that made me want to do this, you know. So he's like, that's a great story. So, you know, it was pretty cool. But that's how I got started singing. That was one of the two things, that party, singing in the driveway, and then being on stage with Twisted Sister made me want to really do it myself.
And
you know?
Also that, I mean, you're obviously very disciplined in what you do. In every part of your life, you're really disciplined. And I know that I haven't seen Twisted Sister. I saw Iron Maiden back in kind of, you know, kind of, I think it was the mid 1980s. And what really got me about Bruce Dickinson then was that he used to fence he was an Olympic fencer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's really fit, and I saw him and couldn't believe the energy of this guy on stage. And then I learned that he was also a pilot as well.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and he's a really disciplined individual. And I was really into punk back then, and I was kind of listening to some of these punk bands that were really big drinkers as well and big drug takers. But something kind of got in my head about Bruce Dickinson and thought, hang on, there's something behind this. You don't just get on stage drunk and drugged up all the time to do this. It's a really disciplined thing, you know.
Yeah.
And you I found out then that you joined the army straight after.
Yeah.
You become a paratrooper.
1986, I went into the army, and I joined the airborne. You know, I was jumping out of airplanes, and you know, and that takes a lot of discipline, you know. Yeah, you run 5 miles every morning, and you run at a very fast speed. And if you don't keep up with everybody else, you get kicked out.
Right.
So there are a lot of people that join the course, the airborne school. A lot of them fail because they can't keep up with the program.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I could well imagine. And funnily enough, when I read that about you, about joining the army, it kind of made sense that you, from a very early age, you had that kind of discipline, and
yeah,
there was something.
I've always really liked discipline. I've loved it. And you see children in life, and devotee children also, if they have structure, if they know to wake up early in the morning, go to Mangal Arati, if they know to follow these rules and regulations, and if they know repercussions of what happens if you don't follow the program, then, you know, they usually end up being very staunch in their endeavors. They often do big things and great things because they learn that okay, you might get knocked down, but you just keep getting up, and you just go and go and go until you achieve your goals.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Before I was going to talk to you about your journey with Krishna beginning in kind of the mid-90s. But I just wanted to read out a quote. I know that you left the army and you kind of got a job in a warehouse, and you were living with Jeffrey Hatrix.
Yeah.
And I found a quote from Kim Say, the tattoo artist. I hope I've said her name right.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay.
He'd have 1 million girls chasing him, she said. He
Yeah.
was fun crazy. Now he's an adult. He made this conscious decision to change his life and habits and be more thoughtful and deliberate, more conscientious.
Yeah.
And this is when you met John Joseph with the Cro-Mags.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't you before that you had a kind of spiritual awakening when you said, look, God, you know, I feel really frustrated. You know, can you reveal something to me? Can you reveal a message to me?
Yeah, I used to go, I was a boxer. I used to fight.
That's right, yeah.
And I would go to the gym every day. I would box, come home, take a shower, then go to band rehearsal. I would write songs, rehearse songs, play with the band, even go on tour. I was doing so many things that were disciplined, but I didn't have any lasting happiness. Every time I would achieve a goal, I would say, oh, there's got to be more. I'm still not happy. So I asked God to reveal himself to me. So maybe the next day or a couple days later, we got this phone call from some management company saying, would the Spudmonsters like to tour in America with the Cro-Mags? And that was John Joseph's first tour back with the Cro-Mags after leaving the band after the Age of Quarrel album.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got that tour, and on the tour, John Joseph would give me a book, On the Way to Krishna, just a little paperback. And on the way to one of the first gigs, I'm reading it. I'm like, man, this is really interesting. It's speaking about material endeavors and not being happy, not being satisfied in them. And me reading it saying, yes, this is it. I'm not happy with my life. So we'd get to the clubs and I would talk to him nonstop, and I'd ask him so many questions. And I'd say, I hope I'm not asking you too many questions. He goes, no, whatever you need, I'm here for you. So he took me under his wing like a big brother and just talked to me nonstop. Even when the tour was over, he would call me, how you doing? What do you need help with? You know, and he was such a blessing. He gave me The Science of Self-Realization by Srila Prabhupada, and I read it. And that book changed my life. You know, I was living with a girl at the time, and she didn't like me getting into Krishna consciousness. She's like, why, what's so great about this? Why do you need this? And because I had given up eating meat, fish, and eggs, and I was like, I don't need this in my life anymore, because I want to be compassionate. I want to be loving. I want to, you know, think on a higher level, simple living, higher thinking. I stopped taking all intoxication. You know, and at that time she wanted to get married to me. And I was just realizing more and more after reading these books that Prabhupada wrote that I wasn't really meant to be with this girl. So one day she gave me an ultimatum. She said, either you choose Krishna or you choose me. It's the ball's in your court. And I told her these very prophetic words. I said, I'll help you pack. So I was done with her.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to break up with her because I had feelings for her, but I also said, this is more important, that I move forward in my spiritual life. Mm-hmm. So when she left, I told her, take all the furniture, take everything, take the bed, I'm done. So all I had was this little yoga mat to sleep on. I had a little coffee table, and I had a little Prabhupada brass murti. And I had Prabhupada on there, a picture of Lord Nrsingadev, and a picture of Krishna, and that was it. And I had some incense that John Joseph gave me, and I was just, you know, going on the energy that Prabhupada's book, you know. But that was.
And even then, were you kind of, you know, getting up at kind of 4:30 in the morning, and you were beginning to really nurture your own kind of program and your own spiritual program.
Yeah, I met some devotees and they taught me the process. You know, you wake up during the Brahma Muhurta hours.
Yeah.
You know, this is a time in the morning when the phone's not ringing, horns aren't honking, kids aren't crying. It's a very peaceful time for prayer and meditation. So I started doing Mongol Arti. I started learning the prayers, you know, Shri Guru Vastakam, Shri Guru Vandana, Tulsi prayers. Started learning all of them and rehearsing them, reciting them every day. And then I started inviting devotees to my house. Hey, let's do Arti every day at my house. And then, yeah, just kept going and going and going. And I just got really involved with the local devotees, and Krishna kept providing me with opportunities to do more.
Yeah. Were you you were raised as a Lutheran Methodist, weren't you? So,
Yeah.
So you were. Did you believe in God before you sort of became involved with Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, I remember going to church and having a good feeling about being there, but I remember falling asleep during the sermons, and there was nothing that really excited me too much, but I felt good being there. I would hear some stories about how Jesus gave his life for our sins. I would hear about, you know, just the austerities that Jesus performed. And that was appealing to me. I felt like I want to do austere things to help other people too.
Yeah.
I was inspired by his, you know, because he's a Acharya, you know, he taught by example. So that was appealing to me. And maybe in the church, I wasn't seeing other Acharyas. That's maybe why I wasn't enthused as much, but I was inspired by the teachings of Christ and that lifestyle.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And could you just, it's going to be my last question before Madhu takes over to take you through some of your music. I think,
Okay.
Madhu, your internet's been a bit rubbish, hasn't it?
Did we lose him? I don't see him anymore.
Yeah, he's
Sorry?
here.
Yeah, it was. I lost my internet signal, so now it's okay.
Right. So, no, and also, could you
So, Mike?
talk to us?
Mike?
Yeah. You okay? Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about the process about you becoming initiated? So you're a twice initiated Brahmin.
Yeah.
Would you be able to just give those, well, really me as well, some kind of some background on that? What does that actually mean?
After practicing chanting 16 rounds for so long, following the 4 regulative principles, I really wanted to be initiated. I wanted to make it official, to be married into Krishna consciousness, so to say, you know, be initiated. So Prabhupada said initiation is a formality. The real thing is that you practice this Krishna consciousness. So at the time, my first initiation, I took a Ritvik initiation. I met some devotees who were like, oh, just don't trust anyone. Just trust Prabhupada. Just take initiation this way. I met a sannyasi. He gave me initiation that way. And then whenever I told the devotees locally that I had taken the initiation Ritvik style, they were upset. Oh, no, that's not the ISKCON way. Prabhupada wouldn't be happy with that and all this stuff. So I don't know, I was kind of distraught. I just wanted to surrender to Prabhupada, you know, and I never had any ill feelings towards any other sannyasis or anybody that was given initiation. I wasn't never offensive towards anybody. I just wanted Prabhupada, you know. I really loved the way he taught, and you know, that's just where my heart was. He was the one I was surrendering to when I was reading those books. Well, anyway, after some time, you know, devotees said, you should really do this properly, the right way. So I took initiation with an ISKCON initiating guru. And after some time, he ended up having an unfortunate fall down. So what they say whenever if there is a fall down of a spiritual master, you're supposed to take shelter of his spiritual master, which his spiritual master was Prabhupada. So I guess in the end, I really got Prabhupada, but maybe the way it was supposed to go. But anyway, it was a good experience that, you know, I took initiation, took twice initiation, and then followed the process, because initiation really, like Prabhupada said, Guru is one. It's Krishna ultimately, you know, but it's that chain, that disciplic succession going back to God himself. So I followed that process, and to this day I feel connected to Prabhupada, to Krishna, to all the acharyas, you know. So I've never been political. I don't like political schisms, you know, people that argue, oh, this guru's bad, this guru's good. I don't care. Yeah, I just love devotees. I love people that practice Krishna consciousness. That's it, you know.
Yeah, because I've recently got, Madhu knows about this, got really a bit miffed about kind of the conspiracy theorists coming into it. And for me, it's like, I don't know why you're sharing this stuff on Facebook about conspiracies. It's not about Krishna. I thought you were. I found sannyasis doing it as well. And I'm thinking, you're not sharing stuff about Krishna. You're sharing stuff about politics and conspiracy theories. Why? I'm not interested in this.
That's what always bothered me, that if you have a platform to speak, don't speak about the ills, speak about the cure, speak about Krishna, about devotional service, about loving one another. You know, that's what I've always been all about. I'm very strict about, you know, I think that's why I've been able to stay in the association of devotees as long as I have, is because I don't have that offensive mindset to where fault finding all the time. Prabhupada said we need to be like the bumblebee that's always after the honey, you know, rather than the crow that's after the dead carcass, or the fly that's after stool, you know?
Yeah. And I know that I should be, because sometimes I'm critical of Prabhupada as well, because I read what he's written in books about women sometimes, and I'm critical. And it's Madhu says exactly the same to me. Look, you don't need to be critical. You know, none of us are perfect in this world. And you've got to work around that and actually, go for the honey. So it's words. Thank you. Cool.
Yeah. Prabhupada meant good in everything he did. He loved his women disciples very much. When he speaks on about women, he might be speaking more on the general materialistic side, or somebody that's maybe more in a fallen state of mind. But he loved even very fallen souls, because he wanted to see everybody delivered.
Yeah,
you know.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Good. Go on, Madhu.
Yeah. Okay. Nice things that you say, Dayal, Prabhu, because sometimes devotees, when we read these things, we see so much stuff on Facebook or the social media, like this conspiracy, you know, about anything about ISKCON, even devotees speaking about flat Earth. It's like, who cares?
Who cares?
Maybe the Earth is flat, or maybe the vaccines are not good for health. And then what? One day you will die, and you will waste your time in talking about the illness and not about the cure. So it's really nice that you make this emphasis in the process, like the real process, like sadhana and bhajan. So the next
If I can
question
interrupt
is
one,
the.
I wanted to elaborate on what you said real quick. When Prabhupada said, one of his disciples said, did we fall from the spiritual world down here? And there's a lot of controversy about that too. Prabhupada said, don't worry about how you got here. Just get out.
Yeah.
So we don't care if the earth is flat. This isn't our home. This is just where we're, we're sick people. We're in the hospital here. This is where sick people go to get better. Let's get out of here. Don't worry if it's flat, you know? So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Madhu, but I felt like I wanted to emphasize that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this thing, yeah, or even Prabhupada says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, like the conclusion of the Jiva never falls from Vaikuntha. But anyway, how you get out of here? Because birth, illness, you get old, then you die, and then
Yeah,
what? So that's Krishna consciousness was teach us, like, don't waste your time in useless things. Everything that you eat, everything that you hear, that you see, that you smell, it has an influence in your mental health, in your spiritual life
yeah.
also, even in your physical health. So we must be very careful about all these things, like so much hatred against some group or this or that, and it's just something that never ends. So the next question is, if in the Spudmonsters, the first album, I think there is some songs like Beer or Garbage Day,
Yeah,
and but when you release the Moment of Truth, it's completely different because it has songs like Searching, like Isolation.
isolation.
That
Yeah,
is, it has completely different lyrics, and do you read it and you see uh this a devotee wrote these lyrics. Even
yeah,
when the band, it wasn't a Krishnacore band, you read the lyrics and it's like, yeah, oh, that's amazing, and it
mm,
really has you can make like a connection with Prabhupada. Also, there are so many other, like what I see here. Foose is not a Krishna core band, right?
it is.
Foose is not a, but
Well,
you open the album,
I'm the one that's practicing, but the other
you
guys
take
don't.
the CD, and you see Jagannath on it. So
Yeah, always.
sorry,
I always include Krishna in everything I do.
yeah. So
That's
there is
my
always,
offering. So yeah, that
yeah.
like
So
everything
could
I
you
do,
speak
I
a little
always
bit
include Krishna.
about the like change? Yeah, could you explain a little bit about how it was this change of from writing songs like Beer and then completely change it to Moment of Truth that to release this album? How the other members of the band took it? Like they were okay with that, or it was like,
Well,
oh, it's a religious thing, or
well, the first album, there was an old singer before me in the Spudmonsters. There were two singers actually. They used to be called Joe Gizmo and the Spudmonsters, and they were just more of a Murphy's Law kind of band, just funny songs and just having a good time. Songs about beer and pizza and garbage day, and all this stuff.
Repo Man.
So what's that?
Repo Man.
Repo Man. I actually wrote Repo Man,
Did you?
but
Oh.
yeah, because that was one of my favorite movies, and there was a lot of good punk bands in the movie. But when I wrote half of that album, so some of the songs were written by the old singer, Garbage Day, Beer, some of those more goofy songs or funny songs, those were by the old singer. And then when I joined the band and Scott Roberts joined the band, we became more serious, but we like to have a fun time at the same time. So we ended up recording the album. Those were good songs. I mean, they were fun to play, but lyrically, that just wasn't my style. So you see over the next album, No Guarantees, and then ultimately Moment of Truth is when I really got into Krishna consciousness. I started writing songs about self-realization, song like Searching, Isolation, all these songs were more about what's the purpose of life, Tato Brahma Jigyasya, what's the reason I'm here in this material world? What's the best way for me to make good use or the best use of this bad bargain of a material body that I got? We know that these material bodies every 5 or 6 hours needs to be fed. Every 8 to 12 hours, we need rest. We're constantly bombarded by other living entities, so we're trying to avoid illnesses. We're trying to avoid death. We're trying to avoid old age. We're so many botherations in this material body, in this material world. So I was writing songs about that, you know, and the guys in my band, you know, we had our own tour bus here in America. We bought a school bus from a elementary school, and we knocked all the seats out. We built bunks in there so we could sleep, you know, because we were making pretty good money back then. When we played in Cleveland, Ohio, we would play in front of maybe 1,500 people every time we would play. 1,000 people or 1,500 people. So we started making some decent money at the shows with the guarantee. So okay, let's buy a bus. And when we tour, you know, I would drive at night after the show, and I'd drive to the next town. And while I'm driving, I'd chant japa and do my own morning ritual. And oftentimes when we're on tour, I would go off the path where we're supposed to go, and I would go drive to a temple, go to Mangal Arti. And then my band would wake up in the morning and I have a bunch of plates of prasadam. So I was, you know, they'd be like, why are we in this town? We're supposed to be going here. I'm like, oh yeah, I stopped and got us some food. And they'd be happy. Okay, cool. But, you know, they thought I was a little bit doing, you know, maybe changing a little too much. They're like, oh, you don't drink beer anymore. You don't pick up the women anymore. You know, I said, hey, I'm still the same person though, you know. I'm changing my morals. I'm changing some of the things that I do, but I'm trying to live with a higher consciousness, you know. So they respected that. They didn't quite understand me, but they respected it, and that was good. So, you know, my influence on the Moment of Truth album really came out with the lyrics I was writing. And, you know, we got on the cover of Scene magazine in Cleveland, Ohio. It's the biggest magazine in our area. And it said the Spudmonsters, Krishnacore, you know. Yeah, so they were like, what's that? You know, like the whole article was about how I changed into a devotee and all this stuff. And even the one interview you were reading from about Kim Say, that was a different time that I was on Scene magazine as a solo artist. That was the one that said Krishnacore. But even the Spudmonsters one, that was when we put out an album out on Century Media Records. And when it came out, it was about how the Spudmonsters were into Krishna consciousness. And they were like, well, no, we're not. So it was funny. Oh, well.
Yeah. And how did the other members of the band feel about that then?
They didn't like that so much. But I said, listen, when I do interviews, I'm going to tell everybody, these guys don't follow Krishna consciousness. It's me. Yeah. Don't make them out to be something they're not. So they respected that, and they were cool. And actually, this is the Moment of Truth album, and it's going to be re-released on Fast Break Records. It's going to be coming out on vinyl and digipack. It's coming out. I think it might either come out in August or December. But we've been talking with them, and also the brand new, the One Life All In album is going to be coming out on Fast Break Records too. So both of our EPs will be consolidated in one album, and it's coming out on digipack as well.
Excellent. That's great.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, what about Run Devil Run? How started Run Devil Run?
Well, Run Devil Run was when the Spudmonsters ended.
Yeah. 2000. Yeah. No, in the 98. 1998 started. Yeah.
Well, that was when the Spudmonsters.
So how it comes?
Yeah, Spudmonsters broke up in 1998, just after Moment of Truth came out, and I think I just wanted to do more devotional stuff. I wanted to be more Krishna conscious. I was sick of being in a band, touring all over the world. We were in 23 countries, nonstop, touring all the time. And I still wanted to play music, but I wanted to do it with other devotees. So I went to the Detroit, Michigan ISKCON temple, and there was a brahmachari there, Krishna Charan, also known as Kevin Roberts. And we said, hey, let's do a side project. And if originally we called it Raja Vidya, which means the king of knowledge. And people couldn't pronounce it. They, said it wrong, spelled it wrong all the time. So we just said Run Devil Run. Our bass player, Mike Ski from Brothers Keeper, played bass. He said, let's call it Run Devil Run. And we did. And everybody in the band knew this is a Krishna conscious band. And it was going to be kind of like the Cro-Mags or the Bad Brains or Agnostic Front, all in one, but with Krishna conscious lyrics. So we signed with Ice Cream Records in Europe. And then when the second album came out, it was still on Ice Cream out in Europe. That was a Sinking Deeper album. And then Victory Records in America. And the Sinking Deeper album is one of my favorite albums of all time. Because, it was just really Krishna conscious. Every time we would tour, we always went stayed at temples as a band, and everything was like, nobody in the band took intoxication. It was my first time traveling with band members that were in it for the same reason. So it was great.
Do you see, I've written about the way in which Shelter and 108 in particular use kind of popular music as a means of even kind of devotion, not kind of comparing it exactly towards kirtan. And I know Raj Kishore has said to me he doesn't see it as kirtan. Kirtan is very special devotion, but especially with Run Devil Run, with Raja Vijaya on killing civilization, and then you had 108 with the intro from Prabhupada, for instance. Did you kind of see that as well, that you were, it was part of your devotion, that kind of being in a band and singing about Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, I have the Sinking Deeper CD right here. I was just kind of going through some of the stuff I had done to maybe, because I knew Madhu wanted to talk about some of the bands. So I was looking at the stuff, Rise Above, the song's about rising above these material senses and living for a higher purpose in life. The song Struggle for Existence, it's about struggling in this material world. My songs are based on self-realization. We're not like, kind of like how Stryper, that band Stryper, was like really blatantly like hitting you in the head with the Bible. I just like how the Cro-Mags preached. There's got to be some meaning to the purpose of life. I know there must be more than the struggle and strife. It's like that song's a self-realization. Like the song Temple of Jiva, it's about the material body. This is the temple where the Jiva resides. And right next to the Jiva is Paramatma, like Krishna in the heart, So, force-fed reality, that's about forcing your religious beliefs on somebody else. But, rather than tell me the way it is and I'm going to hell if I don't do this, show me what you've got to say. That's the meaning of that song. Show me what you have to say by example. Just songs like this, I Could Be, these are all songs based on self-realization. And Run Devil Run is a very special band that I started. And I remember Ono Cro-Mag. Do you know Ono Cro-Mag? He used to write for Art Shock magazine, and he was an AA fighter. And he told me when the Spudmonsters broke up, he said, hey, I have a friend in Belgium. His name is Lawrence Kusters from Ice Cream Records. He started a new record label, Ice Cream Records. He goes, he will sign whatever project you do next. He doesn't even need to hear it. Just, put some guys together, put some music, and we'll sign you. And I was like, wow, cool. So that's when Run Devil Run came together. And Lawrence took care of us. He brought us over. We toured Europe many times. Every time he paid to have us come over, we did the Dynamo Open Air Festival, and a full 8-week tour with Propane. We got to share a tour bus with them. So he really took care of us, put a lot of money into the band. And he really believed in us. So Run Devil Run was a real special project, and it's one of my favorites that I've ever done.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, actually. I really like them.
Great. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Mine too. Mine too.
Oh, cool. That's
Mike?
awesome.
So, did you?
Also, when I listened to the, no, sorry, Mike.
No, go on, Madhu. Go on.
Yeah, also, when I listened the first time, the Moment of Truth, the album, it was really amazing. And also, the lyrics were available in internet, so I checked the lyrics and it was amazing also. But at that time, my English it wasn't good, so I was using the Google Translator to
Yeah.
know what it means, and it was it's like to read. Yeah, I don't want to say what it's like to read a book about Krishna consciousness and in a very nice way, like so. And yeah, Mike, you want to say the next question?
I think you're kind of answering a lot of those questions. Did you see yourself as Krishnacore, as a Krishnacore band? And for you, what was that? What did that label mean? I know that I've had conversations with people about the Cro-Mags. Were the Cro-Mags a Krishnacore band? Or,
I don't think the Cro-Mags were ever a Krishnacore band. I don't think the Spudmonsters ever were either. Shelter was a Krishnacore band because everybody in the band was a devotee that was chanting on beads, living, like really 100% Krishna. The Cro-Mags, you had John Joseph, also known as Jayananda Das, and Harley. They were both practicing Krishna consciousness at the same time back then. Bands like 108, that was Krishnacore, because those were all devotees, so I never thought of us as Krishnacore, but I felt like I could preach Krishna consciousness in that band I was in and I could be the message. I could be the messenger. I could represent my band like it was a Krishnacore band because I was the mouthpiece. I was the one on mic with, on stage with a mic in my hand. And I loved it because I got into Krishna consciousness because my band went on tour with the Cro-Mags. I was preached to in a dark, smoky club by John Joseph, which I never would have taken to Krishna consciousness unless it was brought to me from somebody through the music scene, So Krishna is really kind. Krishna is really creative with how he gets his message into places where normally people wouldn't go to get it. So Krishna is very tricky, he's sneaky, So he came and he got me, and I'll never leave. I will never leave Krishna consciousness. It's my life. I might not be as fixed up or as serious as I've been in the past whenever my head was shaved and, and I ran a temple for 17 years. But Krishna consciousness is in my heart, and I'll never leave it. Like Prabhupada's teachings beat in my heart. It pounds in my heart. It's my life. And Prabhupada's the only one in my entire life that I've ever felt really loved me, fully loved me. He gave his whole life to help, deliver us from repeated birth and death, So he could have, he had money in India. He had a good wife. He had a good family. He didn't need to come to America, but he did it because his spiritual master asked him to. And a good disciple does what his spiritual master asks. So his spiritual master basically said, take your life as you know it, put it aside and go and do something, and Prabhupada loved his guru so much that he did that.
Yeah, I understand that. And that's a good answer. Kind of as Krishnacore, really, as well as I'm kind of delving into this and writing about this. I'm trying to come around and say, were the Cro-Mags really correct? I don't think they were Krishnacore either. And it's really nice kind of watching you because, people see those Krishnacore bands as Shelter and 108, etc. And even Prema but you you're more on the kind of margins, even though you really, you are a Krishnacore band, or I suppose Run Devil was a Krishnacore band, I'm just thinking, and Foose as well. Would you call Foose a Krishnacore band?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is with me, I've never lived like other people live. I've always had my own answers to life. I've always had my own, I've never followed what the other people do in the music scene. A lot of hardcore kids only listen to hardcore, but I love Fleetwood Mac. I love Faith No More. I love, like a lot of bands that you wouldn't think somebody that's into hardcore would love, like Twisted Sister. That's weird. If, excuse me. But I never follow the packs. I just do my own thing. And I like being that way. I don't like to follow cliches or groups. I like to be my own person. So I have a lot to say in my lyrics. And if people don't consider me Krishna conscious or a Krishnacore or whatever, I don't care. I just got something to say and I want to be heard. And I want to share it. And I want to give all glories to my spiritual master, who I'm doing that on his behalf. I don't need recognition. I don't care about having a ton of followers and stuff. A lot of these people just get on the internet all day and they just stay on the internet all day posting and it takes over their life. The internet's nice though. I like going on Facebook and seeing what's happening in the world, but I don't do it so much that it takes over my life. I enjoy Instagram. That's the format that I go on most, because there's not a bunch of politics. It's just nice pictures of your friends on there and you see them, and man, you see all these pictures of deities on there and devotees and kirtans, and it's like, man, this is great. So you filter things into your life that help you to think about Krishna and reject the things that cause arguments, like politics and stuff like that. Like I like that so much more than the arguing.
Yeah, I do. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, nice words that, because especially now in the age of quarrel, we have so much of this quarrel. Like everyone, if you disagree with me, we will have a fight on internet or in the real life, but we are fighting. We are enemies. But sometimes, as Prabhupada say, like simple life, high thinking. There's nothing more beautiful than that. And because when you love Krishna, you expand your love to all living entities. So I think that's the way. It's the only way how we can really harmonize everything around us and in our hearts. Also, there is one thing. You recorded one song with Shamananda Das from Seekers of the Truth.
Yeah.
Integrity. This song. How it comes? I think there are two things that happened at the same time, because you recorded that song, and you also started this project of All Life, All In, with some Seekers of the Truth member. Yeah. How was the experience about starting this project of Lifeline? Also.
Oh, the Lifeline or the One Life All In? Which one?
Lifeline.
Okay,
sorry. All Life, All In. Yeah.
Okay, One Life All In. I sang one song on the Seekers of the Truth album, and then after I did that, then Franco, the bass player, he contacted me. Him and Clem were going to be doing a side project. They asked if I would sing on the side project, and at that time, I didn't really want to do any side projects. I was content just doing Foose stuff, but we were taking a little bit of break from Foose. So I told them, I said, I don't know if I want to do a side project, but send me the music and I'll let you know. Because if it's really inspiring, then maybe I'll do it. So I got the music and I really liked it. So I thought, okay, why don't we do a couple songs? Maybe we'll record in the studio. We didn't even talk about releasing it, but maybe just for fun to do it. And then, yeah, I wrote the songs and we really loved it. And then we kept writing songs, and then we got enough to do an EP. So we recorded that just for fun. And then it came out on CD and on, you know, the streaming, all that stuff. And then we just kept writing songs because we were enjoying what we were doing. And those songs are also very much songs of self-realization. Now, although those guys came from a band, Seekers of the Truth, which was Krishnacore, Clem and Franco both don't follow Krishna consciousness, but they were very thoughtful with, hey, you know, write the lyrics how you want. It's okay, you know, but it's to be known that, you know, they don't follow Krishna consciousness. I do. And I appreciate that I have that ability to write about what means a lot to me and not get criticism from the other guys. And then our drummer, Kevin Foley, I don't know if you know him. He played in Sepultura before. He also played in Benighted and some other death metal bands. He's an amazing drummer. He also doesn't practice any religion, but is also very respectful that that's what I do. So we have a good time writing music. But you mentioned Lifeline before, accidentally, but that was another side project I did. But that's
also speak about it.
Yeah, that was a very Krishna conscious album that I did with Robert Ehrenbraun, the bass player from Boy Sets Fire. Yeah, you know Boy Sets Fire?
Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, from Germany. I remember you wrote to me that you were preparing this project of Lifeline. It will sound a bit different. That you common bass more hardcore punk, but this is like more punk rock, more, you know.
Yeah,
so,
it was a little bit more like Pennywise, Misfits, that kind of punk rock. And I really love the album that we did, and very devotional songs. It was cool. I love doing the Lifeline project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the lyrics of Lifeline? Is 100% Krishna consciousness? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And we did one European tour where maybe we only did like 10 shows, but every show was really great and a lot of fun. And we went to a lot of temples. And I was just talking to Robert the other day and saying, I wish we could tour more together, because that was a really wonderful experience touring with him. And the drummer Flo, he's not even really a drummer, but he plays drums, but he's got a band of his own called Fly Swatter. Pretty cool band. And there was some other band that they did together, but I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, great guys, man. Great band.
Yeah.
Cool guys. But it was nice, you know, every morning waking up, doing RT with these guys and going to temples and stuff. That to me is using your talents for Krishna's service. You know, whatever I'm inclined to do, I do it on stage. I do it in the recording studio. I do it whenever I do podcasts or interviews. Just relay Krishna conscious, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, Madhu, you froze up. Something happened. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. You
okay?
Yeah, I'm okay now.
Okay.
Yeah. Again.
It's
there is one thing that always calling my attention in the shows when I see the videos in YouTube, because I wish I could see you one day with Spudmonsters or some of your bands. I remember when I came to live in Czech Republic 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before, you were playing in Czech Republic. I think with Spudmonsters.
Okay.
Talking about 6 years ago. And I wish I could see, but I came two weeks later. Anyway, there is so much energy in the Spudmonsters shows. Also, all your bands. I just saw one yesterday of Round the Ground also. How you keep this energy? What is it gives you some? You are doing some extra stuff like you are training, working out or something.
Yeah,
How's
I
your a day? One of your day.
yeah, I do yoga. I do workouts. I run a lot, stairs. I eat good, you've seen that's my book, Raw Life. I eat a raw vegan diet, stuff like that. So, as you get older, you got to work a little bit harder to stay in shape. But you look at John Joseph, he's going to be 60 years old and he's still running Ironmans, I mean, it's incredible. If you take care of yourself, you can just keep doing stuff that 25-year-olds do. But you got to eat right. You got to get proper rest. You have to take care of your immune system. The things that go into your body are very important. If you're drinking fresh squeezed juices rather than soda pop, you got to do a steady workout, do some type of yoga, some sort of cardiovascular workout. And like I said, get the proper rest, and yeah. So whenever I go on tour, I always train really hard before I go on tour because you jump around every night in, night out. Yeah. It gets very taxing on the body, but once you get in shape, it's easy to stay in shape, once you get there. But the hard part is building your way up to it. But the guitar player Scott Roberts from the Spudmonsters, you may know that he was in Biohazard. He's the one that replaced Evan on bass. He was singing and playing bass in Biohazard. And then now he plays in a band called The Take with Will Shepler from Agnostic Front and Madball. Really great band. But he and I used to work out a lot before the Spudmonsters would go on tour. We would go running, and when we would have band rehearsal, we would go crazy, go all out. We'd play like it was a real show, because practice for us was more than just making sure the music was tight. We had to make sure that we were physically fit to be on tour. So we really took that to heart and put a lot of time into preparation. They say you follow the 5 Ps in everything you do in life. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Do that. Always be prepared.
And also it's about the sadhana. I mean, to be on tour, maybe going to sleep late, how to keep the sadhana. So yeah, I know I said once, for example, I hear what makes shelter successful in their preaching in the hardcore scene, and someone says because of their sadhana. What about you? Like, to keep the sadhana and the hardcore band alive,
Well, usually whenever a show is over, it's after 12 o'clock midnight. It's the next day already. So what I would always do when I'm on tour, I get a shower, I do my prayers, and I start chanting my japa. I would always try to make sure I did 8 to 10 rounds before I would go to bed. So I would chant more than half of my japa. I would get some rest. Maybe if it was late enough, I would even do arati, and then take a little rest while the van or the bus travels to the next town. And then when I get up, I just finish my japa, do a little bit of reading, go to a temple, whatever I do. Because when you're on tour, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of time to go and do things. But a lot of the time I would spend reading, going to a temple, maybe, or go to find a Govinda's restaurant or something so I can go eat something. So always engaged in some sort of service. And when we play shows, I try to start doing my service right after midnight so that I could get a good jump start on the next day. So that helped me to keep my sadhana always strong on the road. And after singing all night, my voice is raspy and tired. Chanting always made my voice calm so that I could go to sleep and wake up healed. Very good. So it helped me too,
Wow.
physically. Yeah.
Right. That's good. Mike.
That's what I was going to ask you about, actually, about that the structure of and how you keep your kind of devotion going whilst on tour. Do you have any? Do you feel as if there's any ever tensions? I expect there aren't now, but were there kind of back in the day that were you kind of touched on it about tensions between being you being into Krishnacore you being a Krishna devotee and those guys, those fans and those bands that were trying to keep religion out of hardcore. Did you ever feel any of those kind of tensions? Did you ever come across any of those tensions?
Very few times, but even one of our roadies one time at the end of the show, I'd be like, hey, thank you, good night, we're the Spudmonsters, Hare Krishna. He says, why do you always say Hare Krishna at the end of the show? He goes, I'm an alcoholic. I don't say, hey, Alcoholics Anonymous. He got upset. I said, well, maybe you should.
Yeah.
He goes, well, what? And I said, yeah, if that's something you really believe in. I said, when I say Hare Krishna, this is purifying the atmosphere. I really believe that chanting the holy name is giving somebody a spiritual benefit. I just want to chant the holy name. One time at the end of the show, I said, that bothers you that much? I said, what do you want me to say? And he couldn't tell me.
Yeah.
I said, what is it about this philosophy that I follow that you disagree with? He goes, well, I don't really know anything about it. I'm like, then you need to do your homework and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
And I had given him some literature and he'd be like, what do you mean about this? So he was just asking to be preached to. Yeah. So he came to be a real, he passed away since then. He died maybe 5 years ago, but he was very respectful of it after we had our talk. And he was always asking me questions. And I think realistically, he just wanted to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of times when somebody comes at you with some sort of contention, they want to like argue about something. It's just they want to be educated. So anytime anybody came to me with, some sort of attitude, I always tried to diffuse it to be like, okay, let's talk. What can I do? What can I answer for you? Yeah. And in a loving way, disarm the anger that they have, because Krishna consciousness isn't about heated arguments and rage. It's about, okay, what can I do? What can I help you with? And I had so many great experiences because of that. I had a devotee. Okay, now this was totally different. This was we played a show. I think it was either in Paris. It was in Paris, and some guy came to our show, and he was suicidal. He wanted to kill himself. He said, I don't understand what life is about. I said, come with me after the show. We sat on our bus and I said, listen, what's going on? And he was atheist. He says, I don't believe in God and I don't believe in this. And I said, well, tell me why it is you don't believe in God. And we just talked and we talked. It was a very nice discussion we had for like 2 hours. And then I said, please, I said, I'm going to give you this book. Just read it. Read some, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. I said, just check it out. And he's like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I promise you I'll read it. And I said, promise me you're not going to kill yourself. Just read this book. Give it a chance. What do you have to lose? He said, okay, I'll read the book. And at the end of the night, I forgot to it was before the internet. I forgot to get his phone number or address because I used to write to people all the time in Europe, snail mail, send them letters, and I'd correspond with people that I met. I forgot to get his address at the end of the night. And then when we left, I was like, oh, I just knew that the guy's name was Guillaume, which means William in French, I guess. Guillaume.
Right.
So I was so bummed out. I was like, I wanted to follow up and ask him, did you like the book? Is there anything I can do to help you understand something better? So I lost contact. So I was like, oh man. So the next year, Spudmonsters were coming on tour. We were playing in Paris. And I'm like, I hope I could see this guy. I hope he comes to the show. And I was like looking out for him. And I always had the devotees, anytime we're on tour, they bring prasadam, they set up right by the t-shirt stand. And we always distribute free prasadam at the shows. So the devotees were coming, and I'm looking around, looking for this kid, and I'm not seeing him. And the devotees come and they're like, hey, Hare Krishna, good to see you. We're going to set up. We're serving khichdi tonight and halava. I'm like, oh, great, awesome. And then some devotee comes up to me, a monk, shaved head and stuff. And he's hugging me. He's good to see you again. It was him. He moved into the temple. He was shaved up and brahmachari. I didn't recognize, but I was like, oh my God. He read the book, and the potency of Krishna changed his life. He's still a devotee today, Amazing. So that's the potency of giving Krishna consciousness in a loving way to people who bring you opposition. He came at me, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I want to kill myself. And I said, oh, slow down. What can I do to help you? How can I serve you? These are reasons why I believe that there is a God, because this material world didn't just come into existence. How did it get here? Yeah. So like I proved to him, I said, do you believe in China? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, one of his reasons he didn't believe in God is because he never saw God. I said, well, have you ever seen China? No. Well, how do you know it exists? Because in books I see it. I threw him a Bhagavad Gita. I'm like, that book.
Yeah.
That book, it's in that book, there's a God. So I said, if you want to know if God exists, you have to go through a process. Just don't expect God to show up in front of you. Just like if you want to travel to China, there's a process. You have to get a passport. You have to save up some money. You have to buy an airline ticket. You have to maybe get a visa, depending on why you're going there. There's so many things you have to do to become qualified to go and see if China really does exist. So similarly, if you want to know if God exists, there's a process. And this process is, we chant the holy name. We pray to God. We follow rules and regulations. We read these books that teach us. The books are like an instruction manual about life. And once we learn about it, then we can find out if there really is a God. So he liked that explanation and said, okay, I'll give it a try. And because I knew I took the time to lovingly explain to him, and I didn't say, well, I'll show you there is a God. I didn't argue about it like we talk about. We don't want to argue. We want to lovingly give something. And as a result, he still chants Hare Krishna to this day, which I'm so grateful for.
And
Always proud about,
That's a nice story. That's a nice story.
Also, to compare, for instance, the way in which you've done that, and you're on stage, and you're obviously wearing your beads on stage, and you're obviously a Krishna devotee, but sometimes, you look back on videos. I never saw 108 or Shelter back in the day, and I'm reading Inquirer. I've got an Inquirer here, the fanzine. And sometimes I wonder whether 108 and Shelter, those kind of bands, were a little bit too in your face, too sort of proselytizing for those kind of hardcore kids. Whereas perhaps that's not really the way to do it. The way to do it is about leading as an example of this is what I want to do, and Hare Krishna at the end of it. And if you want to come up and talk to me about it, I'm not going to try to convert you. I'm not going to put stuff in your face.
That was me. I was just laid back. You want to talk? I'm here, man.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, there's a place for those people that are really pushing it, more of the Shelters, the 108s, because there's people that need that. There's some people that maybe are a little bit fanatically driven, like I need that drilled into my head, somebody telling me what to do. But I'm the type of person that's more laid back. I'd rather approach somebody and say, hey, can I ask you a question, rather than them standing on a soapbox saying, you're going to hell if you don't do this, So I think Krishna has the lifelines, the Fooses, the Spudmonsters, with me, more of a laid back come to me type thing.
Mm.
And then he also has the shelters, the 108s for the people that need clubbed
Yeah.
over the head.
Yeah.
You know,
Very true.
there's a need for all types of preaching. Some of us are kirtan leaders. Some of us cook. Some of us distribute books. You know, everybody has a talent or a calling in Krishna consciousness. So, you know, Krishna has many ways to get it out there, and same in the music scene.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah. It's funny stuff.
That was a nice story. I like so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Of course, I think you have so many stories to tell something
Yeah,
like
I'm
this, no?
Book, actually.
You should do.
You're writing a new book.
I'm writing a new book now, yeah. And a lot of it is
Oh.
stories of my life and things that inspired me and stories about what inspired me, you know. So it's I'm over halfway finished. So
Oh,
it'll be
excellent.
coming out hopefully in the summer.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to ask you next about raw life. I was going to go down that authorship, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, from what I understand, it's a kind of a life process, that book, wasn't it? That was a
Yeah.
Was that again? Was this a John Joseph thing that that influenced you?
No. John Joseph got me into raw foods and vegetarian foods, vegan foods, juicing and stuff like that. But once I got into it, I started doing juice fasting, where you just do juice. And then I started coaching people on how to do that. So whenever I started coaching people and they were starting to finish their fasting, you know, when they're done juicing, they're going to go back to eating solid foods again. They would always come to me and say, what do I do now that I'm not going to juice anymore? How do I eat properly? And I'd have to write a bunch of stuff down. So my one friend, his name is Kastuba Das. We call him K Stubbs. Yeah. He told me, he's like, man, you've been doing this for so long. You should just write a book about juice fasting, about how to eat whenever you're done fasting, write it about all this stuff. And then whenever you coach somebody, you have a book to give them and say, here, the answers are here. So I was inspired by that and I wrote the book. And a lot of the recipes, you know, took a lifetime to perfect. You know, there's a recipe in here about, it's called the Earth Shake Elixir. It's an amazing shake that you make with all these Chinese herbs, and it tastes really amazing. And everything the body needs to exist is in that one recipe. So people love that recipe. And but that recipe took like 15 years to get just right. I remember I started by putting granola in the blender and some rice milk and a handful of goji berries, and I'd blend it up and they'd be like, oh, that's good. So, you know, you get a little bit bored with something after a while. I'm like, oh, put a handful of cacao in there, blend it up. Oh, that's even better. And then I started putting some of the herbs in there, you know, astragalus root powder and let's see, hoshu wu, that's another Chinese herb. I started putting all this other stuff in there and it started just getting better and better. And I was like, wow, you know, so I kept adding more and more stuff to it. And it got really right where I wanted it. And then I stopped adding stuff. I said, okay, now it's perfect. It's good. So everybody, when they come to my house, they say, hey, will you make me an Earth Shake Elixir? I love that drink. So, you know, that's what I do. But the recipes took a long time to get just right. So yeah, I love the book too, you know.
I haven't got it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to have to go with this stuff. Yeah,
man. The thing that sucks about the sending stuff to Europe, it costs like, I think it's like $25 to ship it.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, surprisingly enough, people want the book. They'll say, hey, how do I get it over in Europe? And I'm like, you can get it. It's expensive to ship it. They say, we don't care. We just want it. So if they want it, I send it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to next couple of days.
Oh, thank you.
Madhu, have you got?
When you think the next book will be released?
The next book should be sometime this summer, I hope. I need to do editing and format layout, and I'm still looking for people to help me with the layout and everything. Once I get all that, and then the publishing company that I go through, I think I might use them for the new book. I just have to get some prices and figure out, because this book, the Raw Life, it's very hardbound book with a dust jacket, and there's like colored pictures on every page, so it's more expensive to print the book, it costs a lot of money. Look at that, stuff like that. So that was one thing about the book. I know a lot of people, they say when there's a recipe in a book, they want to see a picture of it. They want a visual of what it is they're going to make. So I made sure all my recipes had a picture so they can see it first,
And I know pictures like took it from internet or something like that. So
yeah. So I spent more money printing the book to make it the way I would like to see it, And it's cool,
Nice.
On the back, got John Joseph, a quote from John Joseph, my friend, Jeffrey Nothing, Hatrix from Mushroom Head, and then Raghunath Capo. They mentioned some stuff on there. That was an honor having them speak about me on the back of the book. So that was cool.
Great.
Prabhu, one question. How you see the Krishnacore scene nowadays? Like, I know the label is, I don't know, you take it or leave it, but as we speak now, that somehow some bands are related in some way, others, I don't know, like for example, one member of the band is a devotee and he write the lyrics, and somehow he has like connection with Krishna consciousness. But how you see the Krishnacore now? Is dead, still alive? So what do you think?
It's hard to say because I don't really know of too many bands like that anymore. I think most of the ones that I know, I just recently on Instagram, I was very happy to see Deva Rishi Records. I guess that's a Krishna conscious label. And then it's pretty cool, like I remember, like Equal Vision, that was a Krishnacore label at one time, and now it's more just all around music. But I don't really see so much Krishnacore bands anymore, but I love to see it when I do, I think it's great. Another thing is, hardcore has changed so much. I mean, I just really love the old hardcore, I like the old shivers, and I like the way songs were written back in the Cro-Mags and stuff like that, you don't hear it being written that way anymore. That band Cause for Alarm, that was a great band, that was some cool stuff. I just like songs to have some good character to them, but I don't know, if I hear something good and it's Krishna conscious, I love it,
Yeah, there must be some active bands like Safe, I think. What else?
Safe's cool, man.
Yeah.
Safe, and then what's the one band? I'm drawing a blank. There's this other band that the singer wears the Boston Celtics jersey.
Oh, Traces of You.
Yeah, Traces of You. Yeah. Cool band too. Yeah.
They are no active, but they were really a good band. Like
I like seeing bands that go out there and stick it out, and do it. I miss seeing that, I just, I love Krishna consciousness, and I love seeing devotees going out and spreading the message. Ultimately, we're struggling in this material world to be happy. So, like seeing the devotees go into different avenues and giving Krishna consciousness to others is always inspiring. I love walking through town and you might hear a kirtan go and just run to it, you know? It's like, oh my gosh, you're hearing the spiritual world right there, you know?
Yeah,
I love kirtan.
that's a nice feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
remember,
feel, yeah.
no, I just remember being in New York City, walking through the village and hearing a kirtan coming through. Before I got into Krishna consciousness, I was at some restaurant called the Dojo. It was a vegetarian restaurant. And the guitar player from H2O, I can't remember his name. He was a devotee at the time, and he was leading the kirtan, playing the kartals, or he was in the back of the kirtan. And Paramananda was in the kirtan. They were chanting coming through the East Village and Lower East Side of Manhattan in New York City. And the one guy from H2O handed me the flyer to go to 26 Second Avenue, where Prabhupada started it all. And I just remember how beautiful it sounded, hearing the mridanga, hearing the kartals and the chanting. It was so beautiful. Yeah. Oh, Adam Blake, that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was when that was 1995. That was when I got it.
Yeah. That's why in the 90s there used to be so many devotees in the hardcore scene, like almost everyone wearing Kantimala, you know. Everyone knew about Sherte 108 or I don't know, any other bands.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
things changed. It changed.
Unfortunately, you know, sometimes whenever there's a big explosion of something cool, some people get into it just because of the I guess the fashion of it. Oh, those neck beads look cool. And you know, and
Yeah.
they go to the Sunday feast and ooh, vegetarian food, that's cool. And then maybe it doesn't last because they weren't there for the right reason, you know. But Krishna, that still awakens that dormant bhakti lata bij, you know, the devotional creeper in their heart. It still starts. But I think, you know, early on, some people came, saw it a little bit as a fashion, and then went to the next fashion. But there's a lot of people that took to Krishna consciousness and still follow it to this day, you know, and are still respectful about it to others, you know. Sometimes people come, practice for a little while, and then they just talk bad about it. Maybe they had a bad experience. So I don't know. We have to be the good experience and give it to others all the time, you know. Sometimes people say, oh, bad things happen to me as a result of this, you know. So I don't know.
I know we've had your time for an hour and a half. I was going to ask also about your role as Dr. F.
Dr. F?
Dr. F. So do you still play a Mushroom Head? Are you their keyboard player?
No. That's just a joke.
I thought so.
Yeah. No, actually, Ryan Farrell, the guitar player from Foose, Ryan Farrell, the guy with the big beard, he's in Mushroom Head. He plays bass in Mushroom Head.
I could.
And then
go on.
If you look at our videos, in the Foose video for Sacrifice,
okay, yeah,
that's totally a Bhagavad Gita verse. The chorus is a Bhagavad Gita verse, kind of reworded a little bit. But you'll see in the video the guy with his head shaved playing bass, and then sometimes in other parts of the video he's playing guitar.
Yeah,
that's Nothing. That's Jeffrey Nothing, the singer of Mushroom Head.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, he wasn't in the band. We just put him in the video to be funny as a joke, but nobody ever recognizes that it was just a joke. You'll see he plays bass in some parts, and then some parts he also plays guitar. And you can tell he doesn't know what he's doing. He's going. So look at the Sacrifice video.
Yeah, I will do. I thought it was a bit of a joke. I think it was on Discogs that I saw it, that you're down as Dr. F as the keyboard player.
Yeah. Just
right.
That's fantastic. And then also, we did a Nazareth song, Please Don't Judas Me.
Yeah.
And that's a video. Look that video up on YouTube. Foose, Please Don't Judas Me.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Nothing is playing bass in that video too, because at that time we didn't have a bass player. So we're like, hey, just grab the bass. And he's like, I don't know how to play. We're like, we don't care. We told him where to put his hands, and we just have him in the video just for fun. And it's funny because everybody laughed about it. They're like, he doesn't know how to play bass. We're like, we know.
I saw that video, but I couldn't recognize the joke. Anyway.
Yeah.
But also in the beginning there is like something about Prabhupada, like in times of something like that. I don't remember.
Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas are my only solace, you know.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
How came the idea of record this cover of Nazareth? Yes, Nazareth.
Nazareth. What about it? What?
How comes the idea about record?
Well, that was my idea. I liked Nazareth when I was younger. So I grew up listening to Nazareth and Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and just heavy bands, or even just regular rock and roll bands. And that Nazareth song was always really mysterious to me. And it was just a beautiful song. I thought it would be cool to remake it, make it a little different, do it acoustic in the beginning, and then the drums kick in, then it gets heavy. So we did it, and a lot of people say they enjoy it. So I really like that song so much, you know. Yeah. But that was my idea.
Most of your bands they include covers, like for example of Bad Brains or Chromax or
I love doing cover songs.
There is one cover of Uniform Choice.
Yeah.
Screaming for Shame.
Yeah.
Yes. It was so nice. I like
old school hardcore. I love straight edge hardcore. Yeah. So, you know, when I record, I always try to put a cover song to show respect to the bands that gave me influence, you know? So, and, you know, it feels good as a singer to sing songs that you grew up liking. Makes you feel like you were part of that song, you know? I want to experience what it was like, you know, for that singer that sang that song to actually sing it in the studio. So, you know, so many singers inspired me. HR the Bad Brains, John Joseph from the Cro-Mags, also Mike Patton from Faith No More. There's like different songs, different music styles that I've been inspired by through the years. And I always try to work each person that inspired me into my songs. That's why, especially the One Life All In songs, you know, no one song sounds like the other song. I use all my influences, and that's why it always comes out sounding different, you know.
Nice.
So
Mike,
I think, you know, as you say, we've taken up an hour and a half of your time. It's been absolutely fantastic. It's been such
for me too,
a great interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you like to say some final words of advice for anyone out there, or for us in particular?
Yeah, sure. I just want to let everybody know that, like, I love meeting people. I love being in contact with people, and I like to spread Krishna consciousness. So I'm always here. Most people can find me on Instagram. I don't do Facebook as much, but I'm usually on Instagram. I'm in Instagram at Don Foose 108. And I would love for just devotees to contact me on there. I just want more devotee associations. So if anybody wants to connect with me on there, that would be great. But one message that I like to give to people whenever I do interviews is go out and do the things in life that you want to do, and don't hesitate, but don't let material life take over your life. You know, we got to understand why we're in this material world, and it is to reconnect with God, because we've become disassociated with him. You know, we wanted to be the enjoyers for so many lifetimes. So find your niche. if you follow Christianity, do it to the best that you can do it. If you follow Krishna consciousness, do it to the best of your ability, and don't ever give up. Sometimes as devotees, we fall short of the standard and we think, well, if I can't do it all the way, I won't do it at all. And that's Maya telling us, lies. So Krishna will take whatever we can offer him. Even if we just wake up in the morning and say, good morning, Krishna. Good morning, Prabhupada. Good morning, the Vaishnav devotees. Please let me serve you today. It's something as simple as that. Just do it, but make some sort of an offering towards reconnecting with God every day. And anybody, like I said, contact me on Instagram at DonFoose108. And if there's any way I can ever help anybody, if anybody has any questions, maybe I've been through it and I can help you. So I love to interact with people. A lot of people don't answer your messages when you send them a message, and that kind of like bums me out when I send somebody a message and I don't hear back or something. I always answer everybody, and I love the friendships that I've made. Like Mike, I'm meeting you for the first time, and also Madhu Brata, this is the first time I've met you guys face to face, and I feel blessed that I have your association now, and got you guys on my friends list now. You guys are friends, you're dear to me, so thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I think this has been wonderful.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. It was really nice to see you first time. Before you were just sometimes talking, but no much, and really nice to hear from you about your realizations in Krishna consciousness or your experience into the hardcore punk scene. I really feel like you are keeping something so real for so long time. That is quite difficult because, as you say, sometimes devotees they give up because of some reason, but that's Maya. And really, sometimes the world now, especially now that we see the world is falling apart, and we think, oh, Krishna, why Krishna is doing this, or any other thought that comes to our mind to make us give up Krishna consciousness or anything. But anyway, the material world, it can finish. The material world in the sense that the work one day can be finished. But if you are chanting Hare Krishna, everything will be okay. In the end, Krishna consciousness is all what we have. It's the only thing what we have. So to take care about it is really important. So you can stay with your family, you can do this, you can work, you can study, but put Krishna in the middle of your life. In the center of your life.
Yeah.
Yukta Vairagya.
Yeah. I love it. And I appreciate you saying that.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Krishna. Speak
Okay.
All
right. Take care,
guys. I don't want to end the meeting. I don't want to end it.
What's that? Is that the ending?
I think so. I'll see you later on.
All right, guys. Cheers. Take care. Hare Krishna.